In the myths of the Near Eastern Europe, there is one terrifying female demon depicted in amulets, paintings, and stories from as early as 1st century AD. She has dozens of names in multiple languages and religions, but carries only one horrifying attribute: the taker of children. The film opens with a shot of a house with various signs painted on its walls. Suddenly, a chicken flutters into view from one side of the room. A man, Yasila, is seen killing the chicken with a knife. He starts a fire in a pit and encloses himself in a circle of ashes. He begins to place books within the circle. But when he tries to grab the next one, an unseen force moves it out of his reach. He becomes aware of a presence and finishes forming the circle of ashes around himself. He then spots a woman who asks what he's doing. She implores him to stop and warns that his actions are causing harm. In response, Yasila insults the woman and tells her to go to hell. He then begins reciting a text in Hebrew. The woman vanishes, and Yasila continues reading from the book. The text in the book becomes unreadable. Suddenly, a child appears behind Yasila. She warns him about the consequences of not feeding her. She approaches him but remains outside the circle of ashes. The girl asks Yasila if he wants to see his wife again. He replies that he will never feed her again. The girl retorts that there will always be others. Just as she's about to leave, Yasila asks her to wait and promise to him. The girl reiterates her offer a life for his wife. Yasila steps outside the circle and says, "I am coming, Ida." A black smoke enters Yasila's body, causing his eyes to turn black. He pulls out a knife and stabs himself in the chest. The demon inside him begins to scream. The demon is trapped inside Yasila's body. Yasila touches an amulet he is wearing as a necklace, and it burns his hand. He lies on the ground, shaking and convulsing as the demon tries to escape. He finally succumbs to death, trapping the demon inside forever. The following scene takes place in Borough Park, Brooklyn, New York. A couple drives in a car in front of a house. The woman, Claire, watches the house from inside the vehicle, while her husband, Arthur, sits beside her. Arthur expresses gratitude for Claire accompanying him. They have come to meet Arthur's father, who has a strained relationship with Claire and has never fully accepted her into the family. The couple hopes to repair the relationship. Arthur reassures Claire that his father has changed, and that the fact that she is pregnant with his only grandchild will help improve their relationship. Arthur removes their luggage from the trunk, and they cross the street to reach Arthur's childhood home, which also doubles as a funeral home. Inside the house, a framed picture of a young girl with flowers sits on a table. A rabbi is delivering a eulogy for the girl who died tragically. Arthur's father, Saul, arrives and greets Arthur with a warm embrace. Claire, unsure of how to approach the situation, extends a hand for a handshake. However, Saul embraces her and declares her a member of the family. During dinner, Saul inquires about the gender of the baby. Claire reveals that she is expecting a girl. Arthur's phone rings and he excuses himself to take the call. Saul then apologizes to Claire for not attending her wedding. Art is in the bathroom on the phone with someone discussing a plan to use Saul's house as collateral for a loan. We learn that Art and Claire are in a precarious financial situation, and their use of in vitro fertilization to get pregnant has only compounded their problems. The person on the other end of the call tells Art that if he doesn't secure Saul's signature by the end of the week, the bank will seize their house. Meanwhile, Claire, who is unaware of their financial difficulties, is showing pictures of their house to Saul. Claire notices a framed picture of a young girl on a side table, which is the same picture that was displayed on the memorial table downstairs. Saul informs her that the girl's name was Sarah Schindel, and she had gone missing a while ago, but her body has now been found. He explains that the circumstances of her death were terrible, but chooses not to go into any further detail and states that Claire does not need to know more. As Art returns, the conversation shifts to his job as a real estate agent. However, Art seems uninterested in small talk. Saul and Art go downstairs to receive a new body. They are joined by Hamish, who works for Saul in the funeral home. Although Hamish knows Art, the two have a contentious relationship. Hamish teases Art for marrying a non-Jewish woman. They open the body bag to find Yasila's body. Hamish informs Saul that the death has been ruled a suicide. Saul was familiar with Yasila, who was once a respected scholar, but became a recluse after the loss of his wife. Hamish explains that the last he heard, Yasila was seeking esoteric methods to connect with his late wife, who had died just a few months prior. Saul begins reciting prayers from a religious text. Hamish beckons Saul to come outside and speak with him privately. Art begins preparing the body. Hamish expresses concern that Art may mishandle the body. Saul reminds Art to handle the body with care. Art attempts to remove the knife. After some difficulty, he succeeds. He places the knife in the sink for cleaning. Outside, Hamish and Saul are discussing Art's return. Hamish is suspicious of the timing of Art's comeback. However, Saul assures him that Art genuinely wants to start anew. Hamish warned Saul to be cautious, stating that he does not have the heart of a young man anymore. Meanwhile, Art cuts Yasila's shirt with a pair of scissors and discovers an amulet used as a necklace. He removes the amulet from the body and is startled when Yasila's eyes suddenly open. Art drops the amulet, causing it to break. The lights in the entire building then go out, but Saul quickly arrives and turns the electricity back on. Art hides the broken amulet under the floor drain cover. Suddenly there is a movement from the body. Saul tells Art to ignore it as it is just a result of rigor mortis. Saul notices the knife in the sink and becomes concerned. He instructs Art to go check on Claire. After Art leaves, Saul inspects the knife again and then searches through Yasila's belongings. However, he fails to notice the broken amulet hidden under the drain cover. Claire and Art are both sleeping on the bed. Claire wakes up after she hears the sound of the door closing. She goes to the bathroom, ties her hair, turns off the light, and leaves the bathroom. However, the lights turn back on by themselves. Claire looks back in confusion. She notices there is something hiding in between the bathroom door and the main door. Suddenly, a man appears and attacks her on her belly. She wakes up realizing it was all a bad dream. Art is not in the bed. She gets up and goes to the bathroom, not noticing a blood stain on her side of the bed. Saul inspects the knife and decides to make a phone call. Hyam answers on the other end. Saul informs him that he needs a favor and reads out the inscriptions on the knife to him. Hyam explains that the writing is an ancient warding inscription that contains one of God's names written in reverse, used for invoking demons or sealing them inside a body. Hyam ensures Saul that this procedure is not practiced anymore, as very few people know how to perform it. However, Saul presses for more information. Hyam asks if he had found any pendants or amulets on the body. Saul informs Hyam that he did not find a pendant on the body. Hyam explains that without a pendant, the seal can't be complete, and the body does not contain a demon. He also adds that once a demon is trapped in a body, it is powerless and can only play with someone's mind. He continues to tell him that unless he is in the business of burning bodies, he wouldn't worry about it. Outside, Art is assisting Hamish with the arrival of a new body. The body belongs to a girl named Sarah Schindel. Saul inspects Yasila's body once more and notices strange marks around the wound. This raises his suspicion even further. He checks Yasila's eyes, further fueling his doubts. Saul grabs a book intending to see if there is a demon trapped inside the body. However, he changes his mind and returns the body to the drawer, writing "Barry" on the instructions. After he leaves, the writing becomes indistinct. Clara is snapping photos of the meal that Saul has prepared for her. In one of the shots, she notices a mysterious figure in the background. Startled, she looks around but sees no one. She looks back through the camera and the figure appears again. She brings the camera closer, attempting to hear the sound, but suddenly hears a scream and drops the camera in shock. Hamish is inside the car. Art's phone starts ringing and he is outside talking to someone. Hamish takes the call and introduces himself as Art's assistant. During the call, Hamish discovers that Art's plan is to use Saul's house as collateral. He also comes across a contract that Art has brought for Saul to sign. Saul has prepared dinner. Claire arrives and inquires about the deceased. She asks Saul if the souls ever reach out to him for help. Saul replies that the dead are just like the living and they require love. Hamish arrives and informs Saul about Art's true intentions. He shows the contract to him. Saul asks Claire if she knew about this. She hesitantly responds no. Claire then goes after Art and asks him about the contract. Art is already packing their things to leave. Art finally confesses that he has not sold a house in 2 years and they are in a financial trouble. He also tells her he refinanced the house. She tells him she didn't have to leave her job, but he told her to do that. She also tells him he should not have hurt Saul this way. She encourages him to go talk with Saul and fix the situation. Art responds he was waiting for the right moment to ask for Saul's help. He apologizes to Claire,